Hi guys, γεια σας και καλώς ήρθατε to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today we're making a creamy chicken scampi pasta that's going to be so good. The whole family is going to love it. You can also serve this at a dinner party because it is so delicious. The sauce is creamy because there's going to be a little bit of heavy cream in it, but it's also lemony and just so flavorful. The chicken is moist and juicy, and I'm using pasta today, but if you can definitely serve this sauce with some couscous, with some rice cauliflower, whatever you love. Let's get started. So before we start, you're just going to want to make sure that everything is prepared ahead of time because this recipe does move really quickly. The whole thing from start to finish is ready in like 30 minutes. So you want to make sure that all the ingredients are prepped ahead of time. We're going to begin with the chicken. I'm using chicken breasts, boneless, skinless chicken breasts. You can use chicken tenders if you want. It's going to be quicker because you won't have to slice the breast in half. Or you can use chicken cutlets, which are already, it's basically a chicken breast that's butterflied and then cut in half, which is what I'm doing right now. You're just going to want to start from the thickest part of the chicken and just slice it down the center in half so you end up with 2 pieces. You need about 2 pounds for this recipe. This is a little bit more than 2 pounds. I'm using 4 chicken breasts, and we're going to end up with 8 pieces. Next, we're going to need the zest and the juice of 2 lemons. The zest of 1 lemon and the juice of 2 lemons. So we're going to start with the zest because once you juice a lemon, it's really difficult to get the zest off of it. So go ahead and carefully zest a lemon. And juice them. You need about 1/4 cup of lemon juice, so it just depends how juicy your lemons are. You might need 2, you might need 3, or you just might need 1. I'm also going to finely chop some parsley. We just need the leaves. This has already been washed. You need about 1/4 cup of it. If you prefer basil or dill, you can go ahead and use whatever you love, whatever herbs you love. In the end, they add lots of freshness and a pop of color. And we're going to need half of an onion, finely chopped. Always clean as you go. Now we're going to season the chicken. The seasoning couldn't be simpler. You're just going to put salt and pepper on both sides and season it to your liking, as much salt and pepper as your heart desires. The general rule of thumb is if it's 1.5 pounds of chicken, I usually use 1 to 1.5 teaspoons of salt and about 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. And then you just want to dredge each side with all-purpose flour or plain flour. You're going to need about 3/4 of a cup or 1 cup of flour for the whole recipe. And you just want to do the same thing to both sides. So my skillet, I'm using a cast iron skillet because it distributes heat so evenly. It's heating over medium-high heat. And to that, I'm going to add 3 to 4 tablespoons of olive oil. And I'm going to cook the chicken in 2 or 3 batches as to not overcrowd the pan, so that way the chicken cooks evenly. I'm going to cook it about 4 to 5 minutes on each side. If you're cooking chicken tenders, then they're usually ready in about 3 minutes on each side. You want them to get nice and golden on both sides. So while the chicken is cooking, you want to have a pot of water on your stove, nice and hot. You want it to be boiling hot, so I put it on a medium-low heat because I'm going to cook some linguini pasta in it. You can serve this with spaghetti, linguini, fettuccine, whatever your favorite pasta is, and cook it according to your package's instructions. So my package says that it takes about 7 to 8 minutes. I tend to cook it to about 5 to 6 minutes, a little bit al dente or even a little bit less cooked because I finished it off in the sauce, and the last thing you want is soft, mushy pasta. But make sure you have the water ready so everything comes together at the same time. Okay, so in between the batches of chicken that you're gonna be cooking, you're gonna have to add a little bit more olive oil each time you add the chicken. Then go ahead and place the chicken on a platter or on a cutting board. Just set it aside. It should be fully cooked. And then you're gonna add the butter, about 4 tablespoons of butter with the onion that we finely chopped. And we're just gonna cook the onion through over medium heat until it's nice and soft and golden, about 3 minutes or so, because the pan is gonna be really nice and hot. Then go ahead and grate 5 or 6 cloves of garlic. You know, the more the better, that's my rule. And add it to the pan and just stir it around until it's fragrant, and that just takes a few seconds. You definitely do not wanna let garlic burn. Then I'm gonna add a cup of chicken stock to deglaze the pan and help create a beautiful sauce. And I'm gonna cook this down until it's reduced to about, it's gonna reduce it to about like half of what it already is. In the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and boil my pasta. But before I do that, I'm gonna season the sauce. So I'm gonna add a little pinch of crushed red pepper flakes. If you don't like them, you can leave them out. I'm also gonna add the lemon zest, about a teaspoon or half a teaspoon of dried thyme, and about half a teaspoon of dried oregano. And the lemon juice is gonna go in once the sauce is done. All right, so the sauce has reduced by a lot. You want to make sure that you don't drain out the water, the pasta water right away, or the pasta from the pasta water right away, because we're going to use some of that water to help create more of a sauce. Now, before I add the pasta to the sauce, I'm going to add the lemon juice. And we're going to add Parmesan cheese to it, so you don't want to add too much salt just yet. Let's give it a little taste. Already has so much flavor. What I like to do, you could definitely drain the pasta, and before you drain it, reserve about 2 cups of the sauce. It's great, especially for later on if you're reheating. I just like to lift the linguini out, or whatever pasta you're using, straight into the pan so that way you can get as much of the pasta water in there as possible without overdoing it. Now this is a pound of pasta. You can use a little less. Just depends how many people you're feeding. I am going to go in and season with a little bit of salt because pasta really does need lots of salt. A cup of heavy cream. The heavy cream is optional. You can leave it out if you want to make it a little bit lighter. And I am going to add a ladleful or 2 of the pasta water. It looks like a lot of liquid, but it absorbs right away, and you're going to see what I'm talking about. It smells so good. I have some shredded or grated Parmesan cheese. If you're not a fan of Parmesan, you could leave it out. If you want a milder cheese, you could do mozzarella and a combination of feta and mozzarella together. And then, even though it looks like a lot of liquid, I'm going to turn the heat off because the pasta is going to continue to absorb the sauce. I'm going to top it with this fresh parsley. Let's taste it one more time. Lemony, creamy, zesty, garlicky, all of my favorite flavors. And that's it. I'm just gonna chop up some chicken, put it on top so it could warm through. If you have an air fryer, because the chicken, since we did it right at the very beginning, it is gonna tend to get a little bit cold, right? And if you cover it, it's gonna get a little steamy. You want it to have that crispy texture. It just goes so well with a smooth sauce. You can pop the chicken in the air fryer for about 3 or 4 minutes so it can crisp up again, and then chop it into strips, put it on top, and then it's just gonna be ready to serve. All you need with this is a nice side salad, maybe some toasted bread to soak up more of the sauce. I don't know if you're into as many carbs as I am, or just serve it like that. I'll show you what it looks like as soon as it's done when we do the taste test. And just like that, the meal is ready. Like I said before, you want to make sure that everything is prepared ahead of time. And now you see why I said that, because everything just goes in bam, 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 one after the other. So it's so easy to just put the whole thing together as long as you have the prep work done, which is also very easy, as you can see. It is time for the taste test. I like to grate a little bit more Parmesan cheese on top. Get some of that sauce. The chicken is crispy and moist. That sauce is amazing. Like I said, you don't have to serve it with the pasta, but it is very hearty and comforting, and it's just a complete meal with the pasta. If you go for it, use whatever low carb things that you like to use with this. You could even do this with vegetables. Let me know how you're gonna make it in the comment section down below. If you wanna learn how to make a delicious bread to go with this, click over here and I will see you right over there. The exact measurements for all of this are on the website, dimitrasdishes.com. Support us by purchasing our merch and our products. We have these beautiful aprons on there in the shop. Thank you guys so much for spending time with me today. I'll see you all next time. Yes, sis.